Have we heard of the concept of manifest destiny? Oh, this is great, because now that we've won our independence from Britain, we are looking to the land to the west of us, and we've got our sights set on conquering this land. Right? All the land that belonged to the Indians, I'm thinking again of where I'm from in Northwest Ohio, I can speak for them, right? We have this idea that those Native Americans who were in Ohio, they had to go. We began shipping them off in 1832, if I'm not mistaken. We began shipping them off to places like Oklahoma. You Seneca Indians, from Seneca County, named after the Native Americans. You Seneca Indians, got good news for you. We have a new home for you to locate to in Oklahoma. So that a president, Andrew Jackson, could begin selling all of the land that formerly was occupied by the Native Americans. We cleared the land of the Native Americans and then began selling it to settlers. So manifest destiny is this idea that let's just do this. Let's start clearing the land and settling it for ourselves. Here in Texas, what I love about Justo Gonzalez is that in his book he talks about the settling of Texas more than any other state, for those of us who read the book. So in Texas, there was one adventurer, James Long, who came into Texas. He invaded Texas in 1819. Unfortunately, he was defeated by the Mexican army. The Mexican government got smart. Wait a minute. They're trying to come into our territory? Ooh, let's do this. Let's tell settlers that they can come into our territory and we will give them land under two conditions. One, you are Catholic. I'll say that I'm Catholic to get some land in Texas. And two, that you swear allegiance to the Mexican government. So people, we've heard the names like Stephen F. Austin. Fascinating. He was allowed to come into Texas on two conditions. What were those conditions? That he was nominally Catholic. Of course I'm a Catholic. You want me to be baptized? I'll go down right now and be baptized. Right? He had to be a Catholic in name, and he had to swear allegiance to the Mexican government to be able to be allowed into Central Texas. Brought settlers with him, and that would change the course of history here. How fascinating when we talked about Stephen F. Austin. I understand that here in the Austin Independent School District there's a controversy about the naming of schools after Confederate heroes. Have you heard this? Over the institution of slavery. I would be happy to lead the proposal that we rename the city of Austin. If you read the history of Stephen F. Austin, he was against Native Americans and blacks and mestizos and anyone else who was an obstacle in his colonization. Interesting, now that we have then these settlers from the north that we're allowing to live here in Central Texas, when was Austin founded? 1836, so all of this is playing into about the same time here. We have the settlers coming down. We have those settlers declaring their independence, which simply means that in a place like San Antonio, have you heard of what happened down there? On the date was March the 6th, 1836, when the Alamo was sieged. What was happening in all of that? These settlers were declaring themselves independent from Mexico. What was one of the big sticking points? Slavery. Did Mexico allow slavery? No. Mexico outlawed slavery in 1829. Here we are in Austin with our slaves. All of us ready to give up our slaves? No, don't think so. So, Texans declared their independence from Mexico. War broke out. The Mexican general and dictator Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, we've heard him. Why is Texas the way it was? Because he was captured. When you're captured, you're very interested in being free. As part of his ransom, to be free then, they let him be free on the condition that he would allow the Republic of Texas to be its own state. And he would allow that on the condition that the Republic of Texas was its own country and not part of the United States. Follow me? We don't want Texas to be part of the United States. But if they're their own country, that's fine. So all of that went down in 1845. Texas was made its own state. It was in 1845 that we coined the phrase manifest destiny. It is our destiny, our manifest destiny, to continue clearing the land going west. Well, that creates a problem because now that we have the Republic of Texas that now has become part of the United States, Who did the land just west of Texas belong to? Just west of Texas, we had today what is New Mexico, Arizona, California. Who did that belong to? Mexico as well. So the question becomes, how did we annex that into the United States? That was the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. We had the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. And as part of that treaty, in Guadalupe-Hidalgo, which is one of the suburbs of Mexico City, where it was signed, they ceded New Mexico, Arizona, California, Utah, Nevada, and part of Colorado to the United States. Okay? So if those lands were Mexico before, what is the religion of those parts? Catholic. Interesting. When the Spaniards came over into Mexico, 1519 began their project of expanding, they brought the Catholic religion with them up through the coast. People like Father Junipero Serra, we've heard of him. The Catholic missions in California were all Catholic. The Catholic Church in the Southwest. Now this is going to make for a fascinating thing. So what do we do? Now that all of these parts in California and these southern states, so that's those traditionally Catholic parts. So we have these old priests like Father Jamie, who are parish priests in those parts. But now where are the bishops going to come from who are over these churches? From the East Coast. This is going to set up a problem. So that, for instance, one of the most famous controversies in the Southwest was between Jean-Baptiste Lamy, who is obviously, his name tells us that he was French, he's now named the Vicar General of New Mexico. Okay, we have a Frenchman coming in to be our Vicar General. He excommunicated Father Antonio José Martinez, el cura de Taos. What did Father Antonio José do? Well, it's what he didn't do. He didn't collect tithes from the poor. Father José Antonio, it is one of your duties as a priest to collect tithes for the church so that I as Vicar General get my cut. What did he not do? He didn't do it. And so he was excommunicated, and he was in open schism because he said, you can excommunicate me, but you know what? I'm going to continue my ministry as a priest. I was ordained a priest, and I will continue to serve as a priest. One of the first instances in the United States of a priest being in open schism, or schism if you prefer, in open schism with the church.